this is somebody who, I mean, we've all been critical of Don Brown from time to time. However, what Wallace has done just in terms of productivity in the 2022 season is pretty impressive. 41 tackles, 8 pass breakups, like these 2 interceptions, and he's a grad transfer. So my guess is he's coming in. He's going to go for his master's degree at Michigan. That's not so shabby. And so what do you think the impact is on the team with the cornerback situation?
I've said this a few times during the ramp up of the transfer portal over the last few years, that to me, this has fallen into 2 basic categories. Now, that's not exhaustive, but 2 basic categories. One would be the player who is highly recruited, highly sought after, makes it through an entire freshman season in which they received a little playing time, maybe a little on special teams. Then they go through that next spring camp headed toward a redshirt freshman season or a sophomore season, and they see the writing on the wall that they're still not making any advancement on the depth chart, and they leave because they expected to play, big recruit, and that's one category. The other one would be the lowly, sought after, not highly acclaimed high school player who fits in well at a group of 5 school, is extremely productive, shows over the course of 2 or 3 seasons that they are a strong player, and then they position themselves in a place where they want to test themselves against a higher caliber of competition, and also possibly place themselves in a position to prove that and move on to an NFL draft status or a free agency pathway to the NFL. And so this is where I think when Josh Wallace fits in, and like you say, after 41 tackles this past season at UMass, he had 53 the season before. He's totaled 3 interceptions, 24 passes defense, 19 in the past 2 years. And now he's going to be surrounded by better playmakers that may enhance his game, other guys that he can learn from. And so this is a great opportunity for him to, of course, and again, just be challenged by better players on Saturday, but better players every day in practice.
Yeah, he had a 2-day visit to Michigan and made his decision after that. And yeah, I think one of the few, and I don't think this is Homer talk when I say that the different position groups at Michigan, there were very few question marks, and I'd say cornerback was one of the few, right? Will Johnson has cemented himself for sure as the kind of key cornerback, but then there was also the question of Amarian Walker, and Harbaugh still maintains that he's going to be in the mix, but now you have a battle-tested grad transfer who has put up some pretty serious numbers to complement Will Johnson in the defense with what Jesse Minter is doing. So I think that Harbaugh has not been afraid to use the transfer portal. Everybody says, he's a little, nostalgic and he likes his old school football. But I got to tell you, Mark, he has embraced everything available to him, and especially the transfer portal the last year especially. So pretty impressive stuff.
And I think they've been really wise where sometimes the transfer portal out of desperation is a place where some teams look for a savior or two, and they really try to reach and overextend to complement the roster. And that's not necessarily what you're typically going to find. Now, Oluwatimi, there's an exception. You got yourself an All-American center there. So there are stars to be had in the transfer portal, no question. Michigan has been able to do both. They have been able to get high leverage, high impact, star level players like my example there, and then also do what most successful teams are able to do, and that's get more depth pieces for position units in which they feel like they need some reinforcement. So Michigan has hit this from all angles. Every position's been upgraded and filled out from a depth situation on both sides of the ball over the last couple transfer portal cycles. So they have exhausted every route, area of the country, and again, from the star standpoint or just the fill-in depth piece,